Good morning, fuckers, and welcome to another day at the Daily BM. What's up, Mikey?
I might be deaf now because my mic was really high up.
and so was everybody else's speaker, so congratulations on blowing your speakers in your car.
Good morning.
So,
all you sexy, beautiful people out there.
Hello, Shae. How are you?
To the iPhone users.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Brad and Mike.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning
Shae.
to all you people.
It's good to have you back on the show again.
It's good to be back.
For our new segment on Wednesdays called Women Trouble Wednesdays.
Women trouble, huh?
Yep.
Who's having women trouble?
I think every man's having women trouble.
Everybody, huh?
It's just it's a sliding scale, you know. You're either at a 1 or a 10. And I don't know why I just gave a thumbs up over here. I guess my Mac is agreeing with me.
Sometimes even I have women trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah? Please elaborate.
Mm-hmm.
Which personality is it?
I have to deal with women too.
Yeah, which personality is that you're dealing with today?
Yours.
Oh, why's it gotta be me?
Yeah.
Well, you're kind of like a woman.
Fuck you.
Wow.
Not really.
Wow.
With that, I'm signing off. Have a nice day, guys.
Bye-bye.
All right. See ya.
He's
and he's out of here. Thank God.
He's just eating chips from the side.
Oh, shit. He's back. Dang it. So, all joking aside, today we're going to have the intellectual discussion of communication and a couple of different styles of communication to help you through those turbulent times in your relationships.
Yay.
Shae, take it away.
Oh, all right, cool. So I get to lead today.
Only if you want to. I mean, I can interject and jump all over you and step on you if you like.
Well, you know, I'm used to that. So when did you have
friggin' Brad?
Did you have a particular, base subject in mind, or were we just gonna talk about talking?
Oh, well, we're about to have a conversation because I think
Awesome.
that's the first step that you should have. You have women troubles is you find the woman you're having troubles with and you attempt to have a conversation.
Talk to her. Yeah. Awesome.
Exactly.
It's so complicated.
Super complicated. I think that the complication comes in with the baggage that you both bring into the conversation.
Absolutely.
A lot of the times. I mean, there's a couple of different methods we researched, which we can go into a moment. But I know from my experience, it's typically follows something like this. Like you spend 15 to 20 minutes having the argument with yourself, going over all the scenarios in your head as to what the other person's going to say, how they're going to say it, and how you're going to retaliate. So when you finally do see the other person, you just walk over and say, "Fuck you, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
I hate you. I don't know why you think like that." And then, that's how you kick off the conversation. How's your experience, Shae?
You're pretty right on that. You start the conversation with all of the crap that you've gone through in your head before you ask the first question, which is a mistake. It's a mistake. And that's where you have to start, is with actually asking a question, because as we were discussing just a few minutes ago, you don't know what you don't know, and you have to know the things before you can actually have a conversation. Yep. So asking the questions, actually asking a question instead of having that dialogue in your head and taking yourself down a train of things that only exist in your head is problem number one in my book.
Yeah, I think before you even get to ask the question, I think the first step is to stop, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, why are you feeling the way you're feeling? Are you actually upset at your significant other for doing whatever it is that's set you off? Or is it something that's pushed you to that level, and now this is just the icing on the cake, or the tip of the iceberg that kind of breaks through and causes you to explode, like you've had enough? Are you upset with something that's happened at work and you've been struggling with it, and then all of a sudden your spouse does something, says something, or doesn't do something, and now you're exploding on them because you feel like it's a safer place to explode, because if you go off on your boss or a client, there could be much greater ramifications. But if you abuse your significant other, chances are everything's gonna be okay at the end of the day, because they're gonna forgive you after you have a conversation or not. So that's my first thought: is take a moment, take a breath, see what's really bothering you. Is what it is really worth having a fight over, or having a conversation over it, or is it something that you're just making into a molehill? I mean, into a mountain out of a molehill. What are your thoughts on that?
I really think that I honestly think that it's just taking a, like you said, Mike, taking a step back. There's an old saying, choose your battles wisely. And is the battle worth the effort and the fight you're putting into it? And it's like 9 times out of 10, I would have to say probably not, because you are bringing that emotion home with you 9 times out of 10 through work or whatever stressful environment you're in. And it could be just a little nuance, a little nuisance thing that the mate does to set you off. You know what I mean? And then it becomes a nag, whether it's a guy or a girl, because guys can be naggy bitches too. I mean, guilty. I've done it before, and I've caught myself being a naggy bitch, going, "Oh my god, okay, really?" I'm like, "Why are you being such a douche?" I've literally told myself in my head and come back and go, "Hey, I was being a douchebag. Sorry." But that's the key, is being able to catch yourself. A lot of people can't do that. So then they swallow the pride thing along with it, of like, not, even though they know they're being douchey, and then they just continue on with it because they're like, have too much pride to admit that they were wrong. So, I mean, that's my thought on it.
There's that. And then sometimes you have to stop. And what I was thinking when Mike was talking is, he was right. I skipped a crucial step, and that's identifying your why you, and so some people are triggered by something that somebody else is doing, and they don't realize it. And you gotta identify your triggers. You gotta understand what you're bringing into a situation that has maybe pardon me, nothing real to do with the other person. Like, for instance, if you had to take Brad's point, if you considered someone's behavior nagging because that was something that you experienced in a great deal of, how do you say that, in some kind of real bad way previously, right. So then what someone else is doing now sounds like that. Yeah. Or that tone of voice they're using when they do it, that has nothing to do with them. It's just how they talk, or it's how they send information. So they see something and they want to get it out of their brain and tell you about it. So to you, it sounds nagging. To them, that's not how they mean it, but it immediately triggers you because it sounds like something else. You have to identify that that's not their path to walk. Yes, they need to be aware of it, but it's not their issue to resolve. It's something that you have to identify and realize that. So these are real things too in relationships. So that's a thing that I have had to deal with as a person, when I realized that's something that I was getting offended by, or something that was upsetting me on a recurring basis, was something that didn't need to be fought about. It wasn't something that necessarily my partner was doing wrong, but it was something that I had to realize I was reacting to in a knee-jerk way, and that I needed to deal with. So that first step of realizing why you're upset and what emotion you're really dealing with, what you really are dealing with, is very crucial. You're right.
I also say the second step too on that is that it's about the delivery. It's about the delivery of how you say it. I mean, because you can come across like a total dick, or or a total bitch, because the delivery is wrong. Like, you can get the same message across with a better delivery.
So typically, nagging is because of a broken contract. So nagging happens when you make a verbal contract with someone. You say, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, or whatever it is. You're going to do X, make it simple. And then you don't fulfill that commitment. And then the person reminds you that you didn't fill the commitment. I mean, normally it's like, hey, are you going to take out the garbage? Like that's one that sometimes people get, have issues. Like, yeah, I'll get to it in a minute. And then like a minute passes and they're like, hey, you're going to take the garbage out because you said you're going to take it out a minute ago. Yeah, I'll get to it. And then usually the nagging intensifies when you miss deadlines, like you don't fulfill your commitment, like you don't actually do it or you forget. And then you come back and say, oh, I forgot. So in their mind, they're not nagging. It's to nag. They're trying to get you to honor the commitment that you made. And it could be something as simple like I want to work out more. And then you don't work out. And they're like, hey, are you going to work out? Are you working out when you're not working out? Stop nagging me to work out. I'll work out when I get to it. And they're just trying to be aware, make you aware that you made a verbal commitment with them. My wife is really bad about that with me in the sense that she will sit there and go, hey, I'm going to do this, this, and this today. And then when I come in and she doesn't get to it because something else happened, I feel let down. Now, it's on me how I respond to that. And typically I decide to show grace and just say, obviously she got busy. It wasn't her intention not to do it. She's not a bad person because she didn't do it. She just didn't get to it, and just let it go, because it's not worth the altercation and it's not worth me nagging her, because obviously if she could have done it, she probably would have done it, but obviously something else came up, or she might be dealing with something internally that I don't even know about that prevented her from doing it. That's where grace comes in. And that talks to your point, Brad, about the approach and how you talk about it. But normally, because you've broken some contract, some verbal contract with your significant other, and you didn't fulfill that expectation, or worse, the person that they were with before you was notorious for breaking contracts.
Yeah, I was just about to go there with that.
They're pulling it forward into your relationship because they don't have enough trust in you yet, because you haven't set the track record.
I was just about to say on that one, because I've witnessed this myself, where it's like what I'm saying was all about the delivery, because it's like you get that comment of, well, I guess the garbage will just sit here. Okay. That gets under my skin, because it's like, I have no problem myself. And I've said it 1,000 times, whether it's my spouse or whoever. I've said, if you want me to do something, then you just ask me to do it. Don't make a snarled, comment about it. Just go, hey, do you mind taking that garbage out for me? Sure do. I'll get right up and do it. I will always get up and do it if you approach me right.
You know what you should do next time? Next time, all joking aside, like probably one of the best things that you could probably do in that situation is when they say a passive comment like that, is just walk over and move it like a foot and say, I think it looked better over here, and then laugh and then take it out. Because it makes them go, it'll make them stop and think how like ludicrous it was to be passive aggressive. And then you can have the conversation. Hey, listen, if you see it and I missed it and you want me to do it, just say something, just ask,
My response to things like that is usually to ask them to repeat it. Because usually
what?
No, not even like that, but
what the fuck did you say? What the fuck did you say?
Not even, not even like that.
No,
but no.
How do you ask them when they come in passive aggressively? It looks like this shit ain't gonna move itself. If you wait long enough, it'll grow legs.
Could you repeat
that? This shit it looks like it ain't gonna move itself.
And how did you want me to respond to that?
I want you to move this shit out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so either
I can already see your pressure going up.
No, it's not. Either the person is going to double down on being an ass, or they're going to have to repeat being an ass.
See, the only problem with that is the only reason they're being passive aggressive is because they're not doing well with conflict and something's bothering them. So that what you're doing in that sense by becoming aggressive is you're basically going, in all joking aside, when you say, "What'd you say? Can you repeat that?" that's basically a challenge, like what you would say to somebody underneath their breath that goes, "Oh, dick." Oh, what'd you say?
I was
Say it
thinking the
again.
same thing.
Say it again, motherfucker. Say it again. I'm gonna knock the shit out of you.
Say what again, motherfucker? I dare
Say
you. I
what?
double fucking dare you.
So that's the only problem is then when you're dealing with somebody that's passive aggressive and insecurity, you're not dealing with the problem because you're being confrontational, and you're not dealing with someone that's coming at you passive aggressively, because they've obviously built up resentment. They probably walked past it 4 or 5 times and not said anything because they're like, oh, I'm hoping this shit moves, so I don't have to say nothing. All right, let me prod the bear a little bit. Hey, this shit ain't gonna move itself, at which point you could be like, well, if you wait long enough, it probably will start moving on its own, because that's what happens. Shit grows,
Oh, fuck you. Here it goes.
Yeah, you.
So is this in? I mean, okay.
So so you say something because we've all done it. I've done it. Everyone said something passively aggressively. Because
But at the point when you're saying it's going to sit there all day or whatever, that's not really passive aggressive anymore, is it?
Yeah, it is. It's very
it?
passive aggressive.
Yeah, so I was gonna say it's very passive aggressive.
I guess this is just gonna sit here all day because you're saying it to the room. You're not saying it direct. You're not going, Brad, this shit gonna sit here all day? Or are you gonna get off your fat ass and fucking move it? Like, what are we doing?
You're fucking master got me working.
Got me working.
Someday
it's not that would be
free.
that would be direct, because I'm calling him to attention and saying, hey, you fix this fucking problem. But if you walk in and you're like, yeah, I guess this ain't fucking gonna work on its own, like, then it's like, well, are you doing it? Am I doing it? There's a lot of ambiguity because Brad can be in this situation. I mean, I'm sure this is how he would respond. What, your legs broke? You have no arms? Like, you can't pick it up? You're right there. You're standing right in front of it. Why don't you just get it and go? If it's bothering you that much. Right?
Let me play another scenario on you, Shae.
Yeah, so I mean that's the problem when you get someone that's passive aggressive and another person that's aggressive, just straight aggressive.
Let me play another one on you. Okay, so let's say you get done eating,
another
right?
Scenario.
And you lay your dishes in the sink, right? Let's just say you put your dish in the sink, and it's probably been let's just say it's been there an hour. All right, but you're on doing something else in the garage.
Sacre bleu.
I know, it's the end of the world, isn't it? And you finish what you're eating, and you go and you see the dishes there, and you start to wash yours. Let me ask you something. Do you wash your dishes? Do you wash yours and the other person's?
I wash everything in the sink.
Correct. Me too. Do you do the same thing, or do you leave do you leave the other person's stuff there?
Shae.
Why would I do that?
No, I'm asking. I'm asking.
Why would you leave the stuff there, or why would you not leave the stuff there?
Why does I'm trying to figure out what in the world?
Because that's the next level of passive aggressive, where you're like, okay,
that's why I'm asking.
I'm just gonna take care of my own shit and leave their shit there until it.
I'm wired like Mike,
and then I'll say something.
I'm wired like Mike on this. I go in and if it's in there and I just so happen to be grabbing something and I see it, I just wash it, man. There's no questions asked. I just don't care. I'm like, all right, man, I'm standing here anyway, so what the hell's the big deal? Now if it became a constant thing where they're expecting me to do it every time for them, that's a different story. But I return the favor in my household. I literally, if there's dishes in the sink, or my wife will come home from work and she'll throw her Tupperware in there. I know she's getting ready to start making dinner, so you know what I do? I go rinse out all her Tupperware and stuff, and I put it off to dry off on the side. You know what I mean? It's just common courtesy. But I think that's like, I would hope that most households are like that.
I feel like I must be an alien or something, because I've never had one singular argument that had to do with whether or not I was willing to wash somebody else's dish or not. Like, I have real problems, like real ones.
Days never finished. Master got me working. Someday Shae sets me free.
Here's the funny thing. As humans, and the Matrix so well pointed out, we need problems in order to feel alive. So in any relationship, I don't care how good the relationship is, there will be problems. So if you don't have financial problems, then you might have sex problems. If you don't have financial or sex problems, then you're probably going to have some other problems, spiritual, cleaning, whatever it is. The problems you will create, people create problems in their lives with their mindsets, no matter how good their life is. Like if you don't have food and water, that's your fucking problem. Find food and water. You get food and water, what's your next problem? Shelter and warmth. Well, you
So
get
you're
those
telling
two.
me, that when people have everything they need and they don't have legit things to worry about, then they just make up shit to argue about?
Sometimes,
like
yes.
whether or not I'm gonna wash the extra fork that I didn't use that's in the sink.
Sometimes, yes.
Okay. Well,
but there's also that goes back to stopping and asking yourself, why? Why is this fork bothering me? Is it really the fork? Or is it because when I was a kid, my dad knocked the shit out of me every time I left a dirty fork on the counter? And now it's ingrained in me as an adult that when I see a fork, it brings up this childhood trauma and makes me want to lash out to the person going, hey, if you don't pick this up, the spirit of my dead father is going to come in here and whoop my ass. Like, we got to get this going. So
that I do
that's
understand.
the why. That's the baggage. So as a person that has not gone through that trauma, you're like, what the fuck is a big deal about a fucking fork? I had that problem with the bed, like making the bed, because like growing up, that was one of my dad being a 24-year military veteran. That was one of his big pet peeves, to make the bed and make sure you could bounce a quarter off that thing. Like, it wasn't really like walk out of the room and leave that bed a mess. Like, that was an ass whooping. So for a long time, me getting up every morning, I make the bed, but I'm always out of bed first. And my wife gets up, like an hour after I do, and she never makes the bed, or very rarely makes the bed, because to her, it's not a big deal. It's like, why do I need to make the bed? I'm the only one to be in the room. I'm the only one that's going to be in the room at night. I can just make it right before I get back in the bed, and I don't have to do anything with it. But in my mind, I'm like, anxious. That was ingrained with me. It brings me anxiety. Like, if I walk in the bedroom and that shit's not done, I'm like, I made the bed today because it wasn't done. And it's just that childhood, being ingrained in you. It's like clearing your plate of food,
See, I'm always that guy where it's
I had a problem with like when kids took food and threw half of it away, because in me, that was an ass beating.
It's a waste.
But then I realized that's not a good mentality, because that leads to childhood obesity, eating disorders, a whole lot of other problems.
Prepare less, eat less.
Yes.
That's what it really boils down to. But, getting back to what you were saying about hold on, sorry to interrupt you, Shae, but before you move on, talking about the food and whatever, you made a point about making the bed. The one reason why I'm so adamant about making my bed every day, and it goes back, I want to say, what is it, David Goddard or whatever his name is, the guy that talks about making your bed.
There's a lot of guys that talk about making your bed.
It's a military guy, and he brought it up.
I saw it.
Maybe
did I send you that?
Whether he stole it from somebody else or not.
No, he told it during the one of the graduation ceremonies.
Correct. Yeah, it's the first task of the day. It's the very first completed task of the day, and to me, that sets the precedence for the rest of my day. If I leave it unmade, I feel like I didn't complete my first task of the day. As however small you might look at it, I still think you should make your bed. That's just me. If you're the last person out of bed, you should make your bed.
That's just
my mindset. And I mean, thank God I have my wife that has that same mindset. It drives her crazy. You know what I mean? When people don't make the bed.
But at the end of the day, like in all reality, making or not making the bed is not going to make or break you as a human being.
Correct.
No,
I understand that. It's a choice.
Yeah, it's a choice. It's a mindset. It's a mindset that you believe it's your first day win.
Correct.
Yes. And it's
a mind. This is just go ahead, Shae.
It's a choice, but it was also something for Mike that he needed to understand.
Mm-hmm.
He needed to understand his trigger, and then he needed to understand.
Correct.
He needed to deal with the emotion and then grow past it. So there's a wide range of people who believe that their problem lies in their story. You can tell your story over and over and over and over and over until the until you're blue in the face, until everybody's tired of listening to you, until it doesn't even bring any emotion up for you either. Your problem doesn't lie in the story. You can put the story down anytime you want to. It's in the moment. You have to deal with what it is you're feeling, your emotion. You have to process it, identify it, process it, and work through it, or anything that we're telling you right now won't help you. Because if your knee-jerk reactions, if your ability to, like Brad said, calm down. Brad tells me often about something he uses, which is to take a break when something, and that's a very good idea if things but if you don't have the self-awareness to understand that you're getting to the point where you need a break, and you haven't identified that you're triggered, that you are coming to a point where you're going to say something stupid, and that you need to go process an emotion and identify what you're thinking and think through it before you say something stupid, or you make everything worse, or that your partner needs a break before they do something that they, that's going to make it worse. If you don't have that self-awareness, you can't use the coping mechanisms, right? You got to get to that point first.
I think that's the next level, though, because you first have to have the awareness and ask why. I mean, one of the great tactics that you can do is if someone's acting out of ordinary, or if they're acting, passively aggressively or aggressive, is you can just stop and say, hey, are you okay? This is not normally like how you act. Is something bothering you deeper than this? And do you want to talk about it? And you might be able to get them to stop in their tracks.
And you're absolutely right. No. I've used that tactic after you taught me it. Seriously.
Yep.
And it works.
As opposed to counterattacking. I just recently did that in a conversation I had, because a guy was being extremely disgruntled and extremely, aggressive in his conversation. And I just said, hey, listen, I've noticed that a lot of the stuff that you've posted and talk about is very aggressive, and it comes across very condescending, and it comes from what I feel is a place of negativity. Are you okay? We're all here to work on this together. Like, we're here to help. Like, are you okay? I didn't get an answer back, but the negativity stopped. The bad comments stopped, because he must have had a moment where he goes,
"Coming to Jesus,
he's freaking right." Like, I'm out here taking my frustration out as a keyboard warrior on strangers because something else in life is bothering me. And it's about finding that why. Is it like again, is it the fork that really bothers you, or is there something deeper that's bothering you? Because, if the dishes aren't sitting in the sink to the point where they're attracting roaches and bugs and shit like that, is it really that big of a deal if it sits there overnight? No, probably not. I mean, the world's not going to end. Like if you jump up, if there's a fire in your house and you leave the house by not making your bed, are you a loser? No, you fucking survived, so you're a winner. Like,
right?
Like it's the steps thereafter. I mean, if you hop out of bed, don't make your bed, but you do everything else perfect for the rest of the day, you're still a winner. And that's just your mindset of going, okay, this is my first task that I need to do to move forward. And people have found that by doing that, it creates other successes, because little wins, you get that dopamine hit. You step back and go, man, that's a good looking bed. Dopamine hit. You want another, you chase the dopamine. So what can I do next that's going to give me that dopamine hit? And that shit works until it becomes a trauma point where then it no longer works, because now you're not motivated to do it out of the motivation, the dopamine. You're doing it out of the fear response because you don't want to get your ass whipped. You know what I mean? Like, you're not cleaning the kitchen anymore because it makes you feel good, and it makes you feel good that you have a clean house. You're doing it because you don't want your partner to nag. And then you jump to conclusions, like as soon as they walk in the room, you're like, okay, what's this bitch gonna nag about now? You know what I mean? Or what's this bastard gonna complain about now? Because that's where you go. So then the person's like, hey, and you're like, what do you want?
Yeah. And then you're separated.
I just sat down. Like, what the fuck do you want?
You're separated before
how you doing?
Yeah. Before you ever even spoke, you were separated. And yeah.
That's why it's so important to take time to yourself, meditate, and think through, what is bothering you, what ails you, and how can you fix it? Is the problem actually at home, or is it work rolling over? Is it insecurity inside yourself? I mean, are you looking in the mirror going, I'm physically not happy with what I see, and now I'm going to take it out on all the people around me because I'm not happy with what I look like or what I'm doing? and that's the hard part is all the self-work, that goes into this, because you can't control any other person around you, but you can't control yourself and how you react to situations. Go ahead, Shae.
There's another thing I wanted just to add quickly. When you ask someone if they're okay and if they want to talk about it, sometimes they don't. So
that's okay.
Yeah, so sometimes offering them a distraction or some space as an alternative is super helpful, because you're still there, and you're offering them a way out of what they're feeling, but they don't have to think that hard. If someone is really in a really having a bad time, and you've made the effort to ask them if they're okay because you've noticed some kind of difference in their whatever, but they don't want to talk. Sometimes a distraction or just offering them space is also a lot of help. If they need a distraction and they don't have the brain space to find one, but you can do that for them. I find that super helpful myself.
Yeah. And then it also comes down to, like if you have a significant other that has certain triggers and they're their triggers, and you have the ability not to do those triggers, then don't do the triggers. Like don't,
absolutely.
Like if that leaving the fork on the countertop is a problem for them, then just don't do it. Try to be more conscientious and mindful, knowing that that's a problem they have, not, or a concern that they have, and just don't do it. Try to make yourself be better, because if it makes sense, like if it serves a greater good, then you should do it. And having a cleanly house is a greater good. So, maybe it's a skill set that you need to develop to get to their standard of like a level of cleanliness. So that's something, it can be a personal challenge too. Don't look at it as, oh, they're always nagging me. Go, okay, this is something that's important to them and I love them, so I want to do it for them. And then it's an act of service, and you can feel good that you're helping them by doing what makes them feel good by having a clean house and or whatever it is. So
I don't have anything to add to that. That's real. That's truth. Like if somebody asks you, it tells you something bothers them and there's a good reason behind it. Like, it's not a mean thing and you can fix it. You absolutely should. If it's not, some ridiculous thing that you have to, change everything about yourself to do.
And sometimes it's just asking for grace too, and just explaining, listen, I'm only human. I make mistakes. I know it upsets you, but I messed up, and own it. Because what happens is typically a lot of the times when someone comes at you and they start attacking you, people take it personal on a character level. You don't take it for the action that you did, like you didn't put the fork in the sink like that, or this, you didn't wash the fork. You take it as, I'm a piece of shit for not washing the fork.
Exactly.
And you take it as a personal attack, and you make you feel less than. No, you just you got busy, you got distracted, and you didn't do it. Like, you just own it and say, listen, I'm sorry I did that. Thank you for pointing it out. I will take care of it right now. Or give me 5 minutes and let me finish what I'm doing and I will take care of it. Or if you want to make my day and help me out a lot, do you mind taking care of it for me? I'll love you forever for you if you do it. Like spin the conversation so that way it turns into a net positive instead of turning it into a combative situation going, well, you know what? If you would fuck me more often, then I'd probably wash the fucking fork. But since you don't fuck me, you're not getting a fucking fork in the sink.
Yeah.
Like, and then she's like, well, I fucking hate your mother. Wait, what?
So do I. It's like, I'm just kidding.
Not everything that needs, maybe needs an adjustment is able to be adjusted on the spot.
No, of course not.
When people need to be aware that when they're asking somebody else to make a change,
it's an onion.
that they can't always do that right then. Like it might take some effort on their part to add that into their daily schedule. Like, you're a person who's got 8 million things to do and you're trying to do that. And so you might try to make that adjustment, but it might take you a little bit to add that, get.
And then
that
also that that again is not cut you off, but I'm sorry. That again comes in with leading with grace, like realizing that might be that person's shortcoming. Like if the person doesn't make the bed and that's not their thing, then you make the bed after they get out of bed, and you it's a win-win situation. You get the dopamine hit, you feel good for accomplishing it. They get to come home to a nice clean bed. The only problem that can arise in that situation is the person might become resentful. Recently I was talking to a gentleman, and he said that, he would be sitting there watching TV on Saturday, and he'd see his wife walk by with a giant basket of laundry, and he immediately would get upset and be like, oh, here we fucking go. I got to get up and move it. And then his wife would look at me like, what's your problem? And he's like, I'm here to fucking help. And she's like, I'm listening to my music, like I'm doing what I want to do. You can go watch TV. And it all stemmed from him realizing that in his past relationship, his wife was extremely passive aggressive, and she would constantly nag him when he was sitting there watching TV and having downtime. And she didn't like doing laundry, so she would nag him to do laundry. But his current wife loves acts of service. That's her love language. She loves doing this stuff. It makes her happy to put AirPods in, do laundry, clean the house, all that stuff. That's her happy place. That's her zone. And she doesn't want help. Like, she's totally okay if he's sitting there watching TV or doing whatever he wants to do. Like, he's having a conversation in his head and throwing attitude at her. And she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because he's not communicating. They finally have a conversation, and it turns out everybody's happy. He's on the couch watching TV, relaxing from working all week. She's feeling like a great wife because she's taking care of the house and the kids and and the laundry, and it's a win-win situation. But without that communication, they're both pissed off because he's coming at her like an asshole, and she's trying to figure out why he's doing it. And she's getting pissed because, like, what the fuck? I'm just here doing laundry with my earpods in. I didn't say shit to you. And now you're coming here like, what do you want me to do? Like, what do I got to get done? I mean, we can't even sit around and relax on the weekend because it's just two people having two different conversations and not talking together.
Yeah. Perception or whatever gets in the way. Yeah.
So basically, I guess we could wrap it up here if you want to, if you guys have any more that you'd like to add to this topic.
No, I think, so we've talked about it well. It's really, it is work. It is work. You have to try to do these things. You have to do it on purpose, and you have to care about the person and what you're trying to build. Like, it doesn't happen on accident. Right. It's hard. It's not everything is not hard, but
it doesn't have to be hard, but life's the challenge, because if it's not challenging, then it's not worth it.
Right. Like you don't have a wonderful relationship by accident, and you don't have it without trying and trying to change the way you communicate and trying to make something that works kind of smoothly. That takes some effort.
So to recap quickly what we discussed today, the first thing to do is stop and ask yourself why. Why are you feeling the way you're feeling? And what's the actual driving motivation? Is it the situation that you're in currently, or is it something else that's compounding, and this is just the final nail in the coffin, or the tip of the iceberg that caused you to explode? So you have to do a little bit of self-reflection, then take a deep breath, and then communicate directly what your needs are. And then lead with some grace and empathy, like try to understand where they're coming from and try to give them grace and have a conversation, and then work together to identify how each of you can work in the role to have a productive and happy life and relationship.
And again, I agree with Mike, but if that doesn't work, go fuck yourself. It usually works too. Just kidding. Anyway, with that being said,
if that doesn't work, $75 divorce.
Yeah, exactly. Then it's $10,000 right out the gate. Get a divorce. See you later. So with that being said, don't forget to head over to thedailybf.com where you can check out all our socials. Head over to YouTube, Rumble as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe over there too. Mike, you got anything before we get out of here?
Everybody have a great loving day. Hug the one you love.
There you go. And Shae, anything?
Yeah. Who got divorced and it only cost him $10,000?
I don't know. I just threw a number out, I kind of figure it's like a DUI. You're fucked either way. You know what I mean?
I think Brad's an Android user.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not. We'll catch you guys.
I'm gonna piss off all the Android users out there.
Right now, every Android listener just clicked off some assholes. Anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Love you.
Have a good one.
Deuces.